Welcome to Dracula Daily. This is our 10th installment, May 16th. And let's be honest, this is why we're here. This entry in Jonathan's journal is perhaps the most famous. We are meeting the Brides of Dracula, who are never called that, but they survive almost every adaptation of the story, almost every telling of a vampire story. They are given their own adaptations, even though they appear only in this one scene. It isn't an accident that the lingerie company that we all know is called Victoria's Secret, because we have such a sense of the Victorian era being so stodgy and conservative in its approach to sex and sexuality. But of course, there is a sexy secret buried underneath all of that. And this entry typifies that, no pun intended. The psychosexual themes here are so thick. On the one hand, you could take this scene out of its context in the time that it was written, though, and see how Jonathan is experiencing this subversion of the sexual mores of the time. He's being tempted by women who are not his fiancée, not just tempted by them, but lured into a sexual encounter that is unconventional, trying not to get a red flag on this. But this passage, the specific passage where the fairest of the three brides actually seduces Jonathan, is a barely disguised depiction of fellatio. Can I say that here? Isn't that Latin? Latin's okay. All you have to do is replace the word throat with a different body part. Incredible descriptions of what's going on here. And realize how shocking it would have been to the audience of the day, and also how that shock was used to draw people into the story, to captivate the audience, to heighten the horror and also the titillation. I said to somebody in one of the comments on an earlier video that Bram Stoker obviously didn't invent the vampire, but he might have invented the sexy vampire. And my God, are we seeing that here? But also, getting back to what we were talking about in yesterday's installment, Jonathan is continuing down this road to submission, and his feminization continues here. He is not just becoming the submissive partner. He's becoming a brat. He chooses to break the rules, and he actually says, "The Count's warning came into my mind, but I took pleasure in disobeying it." And he chooses to sleep in these rooms. He even rearranges the furniture so that he can lie on the couch and look out the window and admire the scenery that was terrifying to him not long ago. And it's not just any room that he's choosing to stay in. He's choosing to stay in the rooms where the ladies of the castle used to stay. And he doesn't know who these ladies were, but he imposes this vision onto them, and then therefore onto himself, sleeping in these rooms where of old ladies had sat and sung and lived sweet lives, whilst their gentle breasts were sad for their menfolk, away in the midst of remorseless wars. Jonathan has removed himself from the field of battle, from the remorseless wars, and chosen to sleep in this comfortable, sumptuous environment. And not only that, but of all the foul things that lurk in this hateful place, the Count is the least dreadful to me. To him alone can I look for safety. Jonathan, you are in it now. The brides approach, and they tempt him with their ruby, voluptuous lips, deliberately voluptuous lips. And they fill him with a longing and a deadly fear simultaneously. He has a wicked and burning desire to be kissed, and he exists in an agony of delightful anticipation. Oh, my God. Two of the brides encourage the third to go over to Jonathan, and she brings him right up to the edge. And then Dracula appears and stops everything. He makes them back away. They follow his orders, but they also laugh at him. They laugh at Dracula. I'm wondering if Dracula has set this whole thing up, if this is all part of Dracula's scheme to draw Jonathan closer to himself. The brides laugh and they say, well, then if we can't have him, what can we have? And of course, he offers them a sack full of child. They disappear with the bag, and we have to guess what happens. And then, to Jonathan's relief, as he writes about it in retrospect, Dracula picks Jonathan up from the couch where he's lying and carries him back to his bed and undresses him and puts him in bed and tucks him in. This scene, no blood is drawn. There are no penetrations. But this scene is the scene where Jonathan is turned. If Dracula did do this intentionally, this could be the moment in the unofficial canon of the backstories of these people that Renfield failed to come back from. And we'll just have to wait and see whether or not Jonathan can come back from it.